Going on, guys? JD at JD's Custom Buggies. Want to keep you up to date on the 321 build. Over the past week, I haven't taken much video because I just been it's been busy. It's December, so on top of website stuff, getting orders shipped out, I've been chugging away at this thing, so I really haven't had any time to like take any more in between videos. But we got a lot done. At this point, rack and pinion mount is on, and the cage is done. I just have to finish welding it all, just to get everything 100% welded. So what we'll do is spin the camera around and let you guys take a look at it, and I'll go through what we did. So that's the look of it. Got my helper in today, Lucy. Her little brother's in training, so she's home all by herself. And so I figure I'd bring her to the shop, and she's spending the weekend with me here. I'm probably going to bring her down on weekends till the other guy gets back, so she's not so lonely. But that's the overall look. So we'll go through step by step what I did this week. Started with the rack and pinion mount. Now, what's interesting about this is, I guess, rack and pinion mount's usually the last thing I do on the front end. So this is kind of a first for me to have that all done, but I want to get it out of the way. It is kind of a hard thing to do as far as getting right position, because the position of the mount, or the position of the rack and pinion, is kind of important on how the thing is going to react. So I kind of have my own formula of what I do to minimize bump steer and whatnot, and get everything, all the steering geometry okay. I mean, it's the same formula I've used on all the other buggies. So at this point, I was confident enough that I could mount this first, and while I'm waiting to make the arms, because I was still in progress of building the cage. So what I did was I drilled 2 holes through the basically the piece of angle that I use for the tabs, and ran 2 bolts in there. This way I could place the rack and have it centered between the 2 A-arm holes, and I could kind of have an extra set. That was my extra set of hands to hold this in place. That was just a matter of fabricating the pieces that I used for the mount. I made it pretty sturdy. So took this 1-inch piece of square tube and hung this cross member across to tie this all in. And this is a 1x2. And then I have a 2-inch piece of angle iron. You can see that I kind of carved it out and drilled the holes for the rack, and then just made sure everything was center, clamped everything down, tacked it, made sure a couple times it was straight, and then sent it home, welded it all up. I still have to get underneath this point here, so I'll do that when I flip this frame over to finish the welding up. As far as the cage goes, I'm not concerned, but with all the 1-inch tubing on this frame, I'm not quite sure how sturdy it is. So my goal was to build the cage to basically tie the front to the back, to make the frame more rigid and durable. So that was my main goal. So where I started next from where we were last time is I worked on the back hoop here. This was my second one. The first one was way too short. I was trying to make it compact, but it just wasn't working out. What happened was the first hoop that I bent, this, and I'm talking about this piece here, it was just a lot shorter, and the gas tank ended up being like 2 inches from the back of the seat, and I wasn't really cool with that. So cut it off, bent a new one, and started from there. So once I got that bent, I made these 2 supports here, tied it into the back of the frame here. Next concern was, okay, wherever I put the tank, my original thought was that the tank was going to be flipped around. I usually mount the tank backwards so the straight edge is on the back, compared to where it's supposed to be on the buggy. Usually the curved the curved edge of the tank is in the rear. But like on my Earth Dog and a couple other builds, because I usually have a straight edge here, I flip it around and use the straight side of the tank in the back. It really doesn't matter. Excuse me, I still have a little bit of a cold. So I kind of changed things up because my problem was I couldn't tie this hoop and get it up to that, you know, the main hoop over his head, because of the width of this, without hitting the tank. So what I did was slide the tank forward, so these bars would clear. And the other concern I had was, or the other issue I was going to have was, if I turned the tank around so it was backwards, the issue would have been that these supports were going to hit the tank under here. So because the tank is kind of at an angle here, it kind of clears everything. So it fit pretty perfect, and I just slid it in. So it's really not, there's a gap there. It's really not up against this bar, which is fine. I just do it for aesthetics. Then I put a cross member here, and next thing was to get the tank, you know, make the mounts for the tank. I took 2 pieces of angle, sorry. Made some ears, kind of notched it out on here to fit on here, you know, on this round bar, and then cut the angle here, walled it all up, placed the tank in. It fits perfect. It's just enough play in there that I can, you know, it's just sitting on there now, but I can straighten it out if I need to, or, you know, there's enough play in there. It's tight, but there's enough play in there I can position the tank before I drill the holes to mount it. From there, my original thought was go from point A to point B. And the problem is that where the seat sits, Dave's head's not going to be under the driver. His head's not going to be under this main hoop. It's actually going to be behind it a little bit. So it, because of the way the back of the seat is. So I couldn't do a point A to point B. It would have hit him in the head. Or, you know, I didn't want the top of his helmet sticking out of the cage. So I bent this other hoop and then basically tied it in, which I like the look of it anyway. It's a lot cooler looking than just putting a straight piece from, you know, the main hoop back to the rear hoop. So at that point, oh, the other thing was, my other concern was that from the last video, this main bar here that goes from like our roof hoop down to the frame, that's all I had there. And I was, because of the weird angles and the bends that are in there, if he'd rolled over on his side or something, it would have tweaked the whole cage. So I need to figure out how not to clutter it up, because the window that he's got is big enough. I mean, we're about the same height, and I can crawl in and out of it comfortably, pretty much. I didn't want to clutter up that hole there. So what I did was, and I don't even know if this was in the last video, but we did put our, kind of like our dashboard in. That's going to be our steering wheel mount. And I don't think it was in the last video. I think I did that right before I did the rack mount. So that was something else that's probably changed since the last video. But I put this in there. This steering wheel is going to mount. I'm going to make something here. And we'll have to make a steering shaft for it. And that's pretty much kind of like his little bit of, I guess you can call it like a dash. So tying in this big hoop here, I pretty much have the support from the dash hoop down to the frame to make that sturdy. And I also bent this over here to tie it into the frame, because I want to tie the front clip into it more than just where I welded it to where I cut off the old frame. So that kind of ties it in the front into the frame itself. And then I cut these two and notched them. So that'll give this a little bit of support here. And then in the front here, I've got these two coming down. And that's mainly, could have gotten away, I mean, looks wise, we could have gotten away without it. But that's just basically to tie everything in together and sturdy everything up. And then the last thing I did to do that was this little hump here. I was going to make it straight, but I don't know, opinions of the guys I had in the shop at the time when I was doing it. The one guy said it needs a little hoo-ha, so we put a little hoo-ha in it, and it kind of gives it a look. So that's where it's all at right now. At this point, two main projects is going to be the front end and steering, and then the swing arm. Might have to find another donor swing arm. I might just do it to save time. The original one looks like somebody was going to mount a mower engine on there, like a Predator 420 or something. So it was cut, there's a plate welded to it. So that's getting scrapped. And then this swing arm here that he brought me, someone had cut off the original ears to hold the motor. And I don't dig that, and I don't know how confident I am about, or how much trouble I want to go through. I'm confident that eventually I could do it. Probably take me a couple tries, but to get that perfectly straight, and time is of the essence, because we do have some more buggies outside that are waiting to get inside. So we might just find a donor swing arm, scrap these two, just to save ourselves some time. But that's it for now. There'll probably be more on this week. My goal right now at this point, I know I've got like 3 or 4 race buggies outside that need to come in for motor repair, freshening up, some front end work. So the goal is to try and knock these out as quick as possible, because right now we're sitting in the second week of December, and race season starts the end of February. So that's it for now. If you have any questions or whatnot, leave them in the comment section. If you haven't already, please subscribe. If you need parts, go to gotbuggies.com, and that'll be it. All right, Lucy. Everybody say goodbye. Say goodbye to Lucy. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. JD's out.